Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another virtual council meeting. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Calabrese,
Present.
Councilman Petrucci. Here. Councilman Getzey.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Sapp. He's going to be joining us in a moment. Councilman Pecora.
Present.
May we have approval of the minutes? Manager?
We need a motion in a second.
Second.
We needed a motion first.
At least you did say it.
I'm sorry, John, you second. We need a motion for the approval of the minutes.
Mayor, I'm making a motion to approve the minutes from the May 18th council meeting.
Thank you, Councilman Pecora. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Councilman Petrucci.
Yes.
Councilman Getzey.
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
This is, the call of the question is to approve the minutes of the May 18th council meeting.
Yes, I approve them. I'm getting static.
Councilman Pecora.
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp did join the meeting, and the minutes will reflect that as well.
May I get a motion for approval of the expenditures under 5A? May I get a motion for the approval of expenditures under 5A?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approval of expenditures 5A.
Thank you, Councilman Petrucci. May I get a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp. Councilman Pecora.
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion carries.
May I get approval of the expenditures under 5B?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion for approval of expenditures under 5B.
Thank you, Councilman Petrucci. May I get a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp. Councilman Pecora.
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, we do have one public comment. A gentleman that signed up in June and was held over until July. His name is not printed on the agenda, but I believe he is on the call. I did see his name on the call, Mr. Obsitnik.
Thank you. Manager, would you please explain the parameters for public comment?
We invite public comment on items that citizens have requested in advance of the meeting. They are limited to 3 minutes of public comment. And so I will call his name at this time if he's on the call. Mr. Obstenik.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor Calabrese and the council. My name is Joseph Obstenik and live at 738 Fifth Street in Verona Hilltop. I've been a resident of Penn Hills since 1951. I'm a member of the Penn Hills Traffic Safety Committee. I'll be 96 in September.
Well, then sit down.
I hear rumors that council will not be reopening William McKinley Center and sell the building and the property, and I don't think this is a good idea. 25 to 30 seniors meet there every day when McKinley is open. We meet around 9:30, begin various games until 11:30 when lunch is served. We seniors play bingo, stay until 1:30 or so. McKinley gives us a chance to meet and eat together. Beyond the above activities mentioned, the following are offered: daily exercises, line dancing, art class, Meals on Wheels, transport to various events like theater production and outside the McKinley housing. 2 members of council at various times have talked to us about building apartments on the property and that Penn Hills had an interest in selling the property. Penn Hills School District has deeded the property to the municipality, but if the municipality stops using the property to public purpose, the property reverts back to the school district and they could use the help. We seniors would like to keep William McKinley Center operating as it has been a need to know your plan. Please support us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That does conclude public comment.
Oh my gosh!
Manager or Jesse, is there a way to mute?
Yeah, I'm getting,
Pardon me?
I'm getting a lot of static and feedback.
Right. I'm not sure why we're having such difficulty this evening. Our other virtual meetings were very, very smooth.
If they could mute themselves until they are asked to speak, that might help.
Exactly. Thank you. I was asking Jesse if he had a way to do it on his end of it, but I guess individuals are going to have to be so kind, if you would, and mute yourselves on your end.
Right now, it appears that everybody is muted other than the people whose video cameras are on.
Thank you so much, everyone. We truly appreciate it. It should make the meeting run smoother now. Having said that, Manager, when you spoke with IT, do we want to do the public comment on the resolutions on individually or on all of them at the same time?
Since we've been doing this in the past, we've invited all public comment at the front of the meeting.
Okay, very well. So if you wouldn't mind, please, because you can see it from your end with Jesse, would you please explain again the parameters? And then I guess Jesse will take the comment as he sees from his end.
That's fine.
Okay.
Because of the format of the meeting, being a virtual meeting, council invites all comment on any agenda items at the beginning of the meeting. So if someone in the audience would like to comment on an agenda item, now would be the time to make a comment on the agenda item. And there is a 3-minute rule in effect.
I'm Brent Rambo. And I just wanted to comment on the first resolution.
Mr. Rimbo,
I hope that
excuse me, Mr. Rimbo, would you please cite your address?
645 Veronica Drive, Penn Hills. And I just wanted to thank Chief Burton. He's done a great job, and hopefully we can extend that contract.
I got to put these up. I'll drive me crazy.
Are there any other public comments?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. This is Shelley Mack. On renewing a contract with Chief
Address.
201 Jefferson Road. Anything else before I speak?
No,
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't think it's plausible to recontract Chief Burton. He's covered up a lot of police misconduct.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Are there any other public comments on agenda items? Hearing none, I would recommend that we move on to section 7 of the agenda.
Do you want us to do comments after we make the motion?
I'm sorry.
Board
Would it
comments.
be, would it be, to have council comments, would it be smoother running if we do each and then we make a motion on each resolution and then have the council comment, or do you want it before? What's easier for the procedurally?
Are you asking me, Mayor?
I am.
It's entirely your prerogative. I know in the past, when we've done these meetings, you've usually invited the motion and the second, and then there was comment from council before the vote.
Okay. And we don't have any more static, so I think that is, that'll run smoothly as well this time. May I get a motion on resolution 2020-032?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion, resolution 2020-032, that a resolution of the municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, extending the employment agreement of Chief Howard Burton to December 31st of the year 2021.
Thank you, Councilman Petrucci. May I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Sapp. Roll call. Or I'm sorry, comments from council?
Jim, you're muted.
I'm sorry, Craig, who's muted? I'm muted? Can you hear me now?
Jim, no, you're on. Jim Getzey is muted right now.
You're
No.
muted. Now you
There you
go.
Now, you hear me?
Yes.
Hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Where are we?
We're on the first resolution.
We're at 7A, council comments. There's been a motion and a second.
All right. And what's,
There's been a motion and a second. The mayor invited council comment.
I have no comment.
Any other council comment? I would like to make a comment. Tonight, I will be voting no to renew the contract. Please do not mistake my no vote as anything negative towards the chief. I'm very, very proud of the Penn Hills Police Department. I'm very proud of our officers. I would love for the chief to continue in his work. However, I do not think that it should be, he should continue under this particular contract. In fact, I frankly don't understand why we have a contract at all. Historically, there has been no contract for the head of the police department, for the chief. No other department heads have contracts, so it's really not clear to me why the chief of police would need a contract. In addition to that, I think the terms of the contract at a time whenever we are very consciously and intentionally trying to look at each budget item, and we're looking at each and every department, we're looking at the library, we're looking everywhere to have a balanced budget. I really just don't think that this particular contract is something that I would like to have the taxpayers bear. So please understand, I have the utmost confidence in Chief Burton. I have the utmost confidence in the police department, and I have the utmost respect for them. I just don't think that at this particular time, this is a contract that has terms that I'm willing to vote for, particularly given the fact that so many of our employees are making sacrifices, and given the fact that no other department has a contract. Therefore, I will be voting no on this contract, but I would like the chief to continue in his role. With there being no other comments from council, may we move to roll call?
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
I vote yes to renew the chief's contract.
Councilman Pecora,
No.
Mayor Calabrese,
No.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey.
He's muted again. Turn your mic on, Mike. There.
Yeah, you're on.
Me?
What's your vote, Jim?
Oh, okay. My vote is to extend the contract, yes.
7A carries 3-2.
May I get a motion for resolution 2020-033?
I'll make a resolution of 2020-033, a resolution of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, awarding a contract to Sports and Recreation Associates for the Penn Hills Park Pavilion Replacement Project in the total amount of $117,900.
Councilman Petrucci, you said you were making a resolution. You meant to say motion, correct?
Motion, I'm sorry.
That's fine. Thank you, Councilman. May I get a second?
A second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
May I get a resolution? I'm sorry, may I get a motion for resolution 2020-034?
Excuse me, Mayor, can we back up for comments from council, please?
Oh, forgive me. Yes, sure. Thank you, Councilman Petrucci.
I have a comment on this. I just want to explain something to the folks who are watching out there. This is to move move 2 pavilions down in Penn Hills Park. One of them will be the center pavilion that will be renewed. The other one is over by the creek, which we will move out of the floodplain. And our match is only at 15% of this, which comes down to out-of-pocket expense for the taxpayers of only $22,000. So I think it's a pretty good deal to get a brand new pavilion in the middle and move that one out of the floodplain. The second one, it's over by the creek. Am I correct in that, Scott? Any other comment on that? Did I say it right?
Yeah, I think you covered all the salient
Okay.
details.
Thank you so much, Councilman Petrucci. I'm glad you pointed that out. Making a motion for resolution 2020-034.
Again, I'll make a motion for 2020-034, a resolution of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, authorizing the manager to be designated official to sign and complete all documents and agreements with the Commonwealth Financial Authority for the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, Blight, and Redemption Grant Program.
Thank you, Councilman Petrucci. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from council?
Yes, Mayor,
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'll just have a question for Scott. Scott, so why would it be you versus Chris Blackwell?
I don't know that that's our role, Deputy Mayor. That's probably just what the state required in this particular program.
Okay.
Am I correct in that, Chris? It's probably just a requirement of the state.
You're asking for who's the designated official? Yeah, that's correct. It's the state requires this.
Okay, thank you.
When you see that at the top, like oftentimes we have a submittal just from us, and whenever you see where the resolution is designating a specific official, that's because they wrote, they give us the resolution and then we put it in a format, that you're used to, but we didn't write that language.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Madam Mayor, one other point. This is just an application. This is an application for a grant.
Any further comment from council? Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I get a motion for resolution 2020-035?
Mayor
I'll make
Calabrese,
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept resolution number 2020-035, a resolution of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, approving the acquisition and subsequent disposition of vacant property located on Pennview Drive, 451-E-228, in accordance with the Allegheny County Vacant Property Recovery Program, and providing assurance that the acquisition is consistent with the Penn Hills Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Sapp. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Petrucci. Roll call.
Can we say something here?
Sure, I'm sorry. Comment from council?
I have brought this up before. This says the acquisition is consistent with the Penn Hills Comprehensive Plan. We do not have a councilmanic approved comprehensive plan. We have a draft comprehensive plan that's very old. I don't know what implication that has for this motion, but I would like to bring that up because I think we should have a comprehensive plan approved by council.
Thank you, Councilman Getzey. Any further comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I get a motion for Resolution 2020-036?
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes, Councilman Pecora.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2020-036, a resolution of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, authorizing an agreement with Amanda Fink for the above-ground swimming pool being constructed with a sanitary sewer easement at 106 Fox Chase Drive.
May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from council?
Mayor
I-
Calabrese,
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I just want to ask Scott, so the homeowner has a complete understanding that in the event that this area needs to be assessed or interrupted, what the risks are. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct, Deputy Mayor.
I missed the last portion of that. I'm sorry.
And they've gotten written notice, or have they just been verbally served?
They signed the agreement.
They have to sign it.
They did sign it already.
The part I missed was why do they have to sign this? I missed that part. Why do they have to sign this agreement?
And I think I can answer that if you like.
Sure.
Basically, when tonight you have two situations where people are building above ground pools in their yard that goes over the sanitary sewer line, over the sanitary sewer easement, excuse me. And this might seem extreme. This might seem for an above ground pool, but really what it's based on is anything that's built in the sanitary sewer. So that could be an addition, a garage, a building. And so we don't make a decision on what they're putting in there, but whenever somebody builds something on top of a sanitary sewer easement, they need to get approval from Water Pollution Control, which they did. Jennifer Cohn, she put a letter in your packet, and also from Mayor and Council. So it's just a process that they go through, and they sign the agreement. They state that if at any time we have to come through there and repair that sewer line, or for whatever reason, dig up that yard, that we have every right to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Black.
And Mr. Blackwell, thank you. Mr. Blackwell, that means no compensation to them?
No compensation. It's with the understanding that it's at their expense. We're going to come through and take that out. And I think in reality, I know of a few cases where this has happened, where we were working on a sewer line. But I think in all honesty, I think water pollution would take every opportunity they could not to demolish or not to damage somebody's structure. Or in this case, it's an above ground swimming pool. It can probably fairly easily be moved. But in other cases, you've seen additions and garages, significant structure. But I think in all respects, we would do whatever we could not to have to demolish the structure.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. Any further comment from council?
Mayor, this is Rick. Could I add a comment?
Yes, thank you.
To add to what Mr. Blackwell is describing, a permanent structure would not be approved by Water Pollution Control. It would be what they consider to be temporary structures, right? Maybe a shed, a canopy, a swimming pool, something that could be actually disassembled and reassembled if necessary. So permanent structures, although they usually happen because they aren't permitted. So in this case, there is a process to permit certain structures, a fence, things that you're not allowed to build anything within the easement above a sewer line. Not allowed to plant a tree in the easement above a sewer line because trees damage sewer lines. So and situations like fences and walls and those sort of things that are constructed that can be removed and replaced at the homeowner's expense if necessary. And Chris is right. They try to make every effort as long as it's not extensively expensive to the municipality. Then they would invoke the requirement for the homeowner to take it down and remove it. And if they didn't, then they would be charged for the actual removal of the obstruction if they had an agreement. So it protects both parties. because then they have some rights, as far as they are allowed to build it and enjoy a swimming pool, as long as they understand that they may have to take it down.
Thank you, Mr. Misterman. Any further comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I get a motion for resolution 2020-037?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2020-037, a resolution of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, authorizing an agreement with Joanna Morris for an above-ground swimming pool being constructed with the sanitary sewer easement at 225 Marshall Drive.
Thank you, Councilman Getzey. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Petrucci. Any comment from council?
Yes, Mayor Calabrese.
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I just want to confirm that this is the exact same situation as letter E.
Yes, it is.
Okay, and also this resident has also signed the agreement. Okay, thank you.
Any further comment from council? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I get a motion for resolution 2020-038?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion for resolution 2020-038, a resolution of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, approving the acquisition and subsequent disposition of vacant property located at 470 Wildwood Avenue, 364-R-96, in accordance with the Allegheny County Vacant Property Recovery Program, and providing assurance that the acquisition is consistent with the Penn Hills Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you, Councilman Petrucci. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Getzey. Any comment from council?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
just so everybody knows, this was a piece of property that Lohr, L-O-H-R, who was a taxidermy, they had that place there for years, at right down next to Penn Hills Lock and Key. Municipality tore the building down, and it was condemned. And Mr. Doherty has a business next door. He's going to pave it and make it real nice. And I'm sure he'll take care of that piece of property.
Thank you. Any further comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I get a resolution for a motion for resolution 2020-039?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Petrucci.
I'll make a motion for resolution 2020-039, a resolution of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, approving for a plan revision for the new land development.
May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman. Any comment from council?
Yes, Mayor Calabrese.
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I would like to ask Scott if he would just give some clarification on this resolution, please.
Not a problem, Deputy Mayor. This is actually a Habitat for Humanity project at 88 Orange Street. And basically, and I think someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but they're basically tapping into our sewer system as a new development. So anytime there's a new housing, whether it be a housing, many houses or one house, in order to tap into the system, this is required.
Okay.
Can I add something to that? If I
Please
might.
do.
I think it's important to note that this was a vacant lot that had a single family home on it. Habitat for Humanity came in and subdivided the lot. So there was one existing tap in, and this is the second tap in for the second lot. But I just think, it's important to note that, as the manager said, that this is a Habitat for Humanity project, and they're completing 2 single family homes in Penn Hills. These are brand new homes. And this will be the final stage for this lot. Once we submit this planning module for the sewer to DEP, and that's completed, then they have a buyer and they will move into that home.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. Any further comment from council? Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I get a motion for resolution 2020-40?
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 2020-40, a resolution of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, authorizing the proper municipal officials to execute all documents and agreements with Elkasan for a green revitalization of our waterways GROW program, grant for the Beulah Road Sewer Rehab Project.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman. Any comment from council?
Mayor, let's have Scott elaborate this, or maybe Mr. Minsterman elaborate a little bit on this, so that the public knows what we're talking about. Gentlemen?
I can just briefly explain, Councilman Petrucci, that this is an application to the Elkasan GROW program. And the intent of the project is to alleviate some of the backups that we've been experiencing on Beulah Road. I would defer to Mr. Minsterman in terms of what the actual work would consist of. But these are grant applications to Elkasan.
Yes, that's exactly right, Mr. Manager. We're seeking 50% reimbursement on this and the next grant application. They've been preliminarily pre-approved, which means that you've been given permission by Elkasan to make the submittal on these 2 applications. And so that doesn't mean we will get the funding, but it means we can make the application submittal. So the applications are technical. They require a pre-identification of the flow in the line through flow monitoring, and then an estimate of what we believe will be removed, the flow, the I&I that will be removed as a result of the project. And that estimated removal is then divided by the cost to come up with a cost per gallon of I&I removed. And in both of these scenarios, these are very good cost per gallon of I&I removed projects. And so we expect to get, upwards of 50% on each of these grants. More importantly, both of these projects, and one is essentially a lining project and the other is actually a reroute of a sewer line. The sewer line's in bad enough shape that it's not worth saving, that we're going to reroute the line, reconnect the laterals, increase the size of the line, allow for more flow. Part of the problem along Beulah is the pipe isn't big enough and there's a bottleneck and it backs up and flows into private property, causing damage. So this is without a doubt, Beulah Road area is the hotspot of overflows and malfunctions in the sanitary sewer system. So we're not only addressing a very significant area of concern, that we are also finding, upwards of 50% funding for these projects. So that's just a brief explanation of both of the GROW projects that are on your agenda tonight.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I get a motion for resolution 2020-41.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
I'll make a motion for 2020-41, a resolution of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, authorizing the proper municipal officials to execute all documents and agreements with Alcosan for a green revitalization of our waterways. GROW program grant for the McFarland Drive Sewer Rehabilitation Project.
Thank you, Councilman. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Comment from council.
I believe this is tied in with the other one that we just gave, Mr. Minsterman. Is that a correct assumption?
That's correct. 2 projects to address one problem. It won't fully address them, but it will take a major dent out of them.
Very good. Thank you.
Roll call.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I get a motion for the approval of ordinance number 2020-2668.
I'll make a motion for approval of ordinance number 2020-2668, an ordinance of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, creating and establishing a shade tree commission and amending the ordinance 2017-2596.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from council?
Yes. Mayor Calabrese.
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
Yep, just want to call on Scott to just give an understanding of why we are amending the ordinance for the Shade Tree Commission, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The Shade Tree Commission, as we know it to be, was formed by ordinance back in 2017. And when it was created back in 17, it had 5 members. The municipality was approached by the chairperson of the Shade Tree Commission about a month or so ago, and the commission asked for additional members to be seated on the commission. And I think the reason that they gave is the fact that they've just been having a lot of people get interested in what they're doing and want to participate on their board. So they're asking the municipality to expand the group from 5 members to 7.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes.
Ordinance 2668 was approved.
Making a motion to approve ordinance number 2020-2669.
I make a motion. Oh,
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
make a motion to approve ordinance number 2020-2669, an ordinance of the Municipality of Penn Hills, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Part 3, Title X, Chapter 280.03 of the Municipality of Penn Hills Affirmative Action and Equal Employment Policy.
Make it a second.
Second.
Comment from council.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
we're going to ask Scott to give us clarification on 8B, please, if he would give us a further explanation.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This ordinance amendment is a response to some recent rulings that came from the United States Supreme Court involving the discrimination against peoples based on their sexual orientation. And so because of that change in law, we are simply changing our policies to fall in line with to what that rule is. We are including those persons as part of our policy so as to not deny them employment and any equal rights under the law.
Okay, so is this just classified as amending or are we just revising?
We are including, if you look at the ordinance, what we are doing, we're basically including a new section so that sexual orientation is going to be treated the same way as national origin or religion or race and those other things.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp.
Yes.
Ordinance 2669 was approved.
May I get a motion for approval of ordinance number 2020-2670?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion for approval of number 2020-2670, an ordinance of the Municipality of Penn Hills, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, enacting no parking on both sides of the roadway of Elliott Street from Runner Road to house number 1439.
May I get a second?
Second.
Any comment from council?
I'm curious about this because if you put no parking on both sides of the roadway, and I'm not familiar with this, do the people are forced to park in their driveways? And what happens if you have, company and more cars?
I can answer that, Councilman Getzey. This ordinance and parking restriction came from us from the Traffic Safety Committee. And I attended the meeting when there was some discussion there about it. Basically, what's happening is that if you're familiar with Elliott Street, if you're turning up Elliott Street off of Verona Road and there's cars that are parked on one side of the road, it's very difficult for two cars to navigate down Elliott Street. So what's happening is cars are essentially having to go in the other lane. Now, typically the cars are always parked on one side of the road, but if the parking restriction was only on one side, the cars would just move to the other side of the street. And I think that's why the committee is recommending that this portion of Elliott Street be no parking.
Is that a sloped street?
Yes.
Sloped.
If I may add something, Jim, and I may be able to clarify this for you. On one side, if you're going up Elliott, on the side that we're going to post the no parking signs is vacant land, okay? On the other side are houses with driveways, long driveways that go up to real big houses that sit up on a hill. So the people on the right will have plenty of places. They don't park on that street. We're having problems with people on Verona Road parking on Elliott is what's happening. And they're blocking the roadway.
Okay, thank you all for your clarification.
I have a question. Were the residents of Elliott Street given actual notice, individual notice of the vote of the ordinance tonight?
If they were, they weren't given it by this office. I know that the Traffic Safety Committee was out there, Mayor, but as to them giving notice, I don't believe they did.
Thank you. Any further comment from council?
Yes, I have a question. So I haven't had a chance to go to Elliott Street. So you're saying off of Verona. So what part of Verona?
Lower end of Verona.
The part closer to Verona.
Okay. And then how far from the road to house 1439? Which house is 1439? First, second, third house?
It's probably about the third house up. It's not the entire road. If you go up the road, it starts to bend. There's sort of a curve in it. So it's basically up to that curve.
Okay, and you said on one side it's this vacant land, and up to this 1, 2, 3rd house, they have very long driveways.
That is correct.
Okay, that could fit 3 cars, 4 cars in the driveway.
They could fit 20 cars in those driveways, Kath.
Okay, thanks.
Roll
No
call,
further-
please. I'm sorry, and further comment?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora.
Yes.
Ordinance 2670 approved.
May I get a motion for number 9A?
I'll make a motion for number 9A, approval of the tentative agreement with Local 602 AFL-CIO for 2020-2022.
May I get a second?
Second.
Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
May I get a motion for number 9B?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion for 9B, approve the memorandum of understanding with Penn Hills Police Advisory Board.
May I get a second?
Second.
Any comment from the board? Yes, can I get clarification, Mayor, on what 9B entails?
I'm sure, Deputy Mayor. What 9B seeks to accomplish 2 things. The first is that the municipality and the police union are agreeing to create a rate for what we're going to be calling a cadet rate. And that is needed. It's part of a plan to change the way in which we recruit and hire. So in order to make certain changes to our recruitment and hiring practices, we had to create a new rate, because in the contracts right now, all the rates are consistent with being a police officer or a sergeant. None of them are consistent with being a cadet and going to the police academy. So it creates a cadet rate. At the same time, part of the negotiation led to the implementation of an early pension option that's approved under Act 600. Under Act 600, police officers that have 20 years service, regardless of age, can get an early, albeit reduced pension. We had a cost study performed by Mock and Hop Benefit Services last year to investigate whether or not that would be of any cost to the municipality if we had this option under Act 600. And I did submit that to the board. It is in the packet. So there is no cost to that early benefit. So what it's doing is It's allowing us to amend our pension plan document to allow for someone to take a quote unquote early pension. At the same time, the police union is agreeing with the municipalities paying a much lower rate to what we're going to be calling a cadet.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted it to be noted and understood about the lower rate and no cost to the municipality for that early retirement. Thank you.
And then just for informational purposes, the rate is going to be half of what a police officer makes. So it'll be 50% of the office, the patrolman one. Whenever we hire new police officers to come in at patrol level 1, this rate would be about 50% of that. So it's going to be about $16 an hour.
Thank you for that.
Any further comment from council?
One comment, I just want to add to what Scott had said. That's the cadet rate. That's with the plan that we're going to have to entice more applicants for our police officers, where we send them to the academy. So that's the cadet rate for them to go through the academy.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I get a motion for number 9C?
I'll make a motion for number 9C, approval of the lease agreement with Madeline McCaskill, DBA Mrs. M's Happy Tots Daycare for August 1st, 2020 to July 31st of 2022 for the Penn Hills Multipurpose Center.
May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from council. I have one question. Manager, it's understood that there will be another tenant at some point. This is not the only entity that will be in use at the multipurpose center. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. This is a 2-year. This is a 2-year agreement. We identified this new tenant through an RFP process. So ostensibly, as we near the end of this lease, it would be the prerogative of the mayor and council at that time to entertain other proposals if they so desired.
But I just want to be clear, not near the end of the lease, during the entire term of the lease. It's not that that the multipurpose center will be used exclusively by Mrs. M's Happy Tot Daycare.
She has the ability to sublet the facility. I know there's a banquet facility there. So people that use that room can continue to use it.
So what you're saying is that if, as this lease is drafted, she would be the sole tenant?
That is correct.
I was of the understanding that what we were going to do was have 2 tenants in there.
And we never did.
I understand, but I thought we were going to expand it so that there could be more use for the community.
The building's not big enough. The building has a daycare center on the 2nd floor, and the downstairs is a banquet hall. You know, it survived just with those 2 entities right there. The last landlord, that's all she did, is she had the downstairs and the upstairs, and she rented the upstairs out to the daycare center. It's always been like that.
I understand that's what the history is, but my understanding was that we were going to make that for at least a dual purpose. Okay, I understand. As the way this is drafted, that I will be voting no, not because I don't want Mrs. M's daycare in there. I think that's a very, very good thing for the community, and I would like that to continue. but I personally would like to see us revisit this lease agreement because I don't like the way it's drafted. So I'll be voting no, but not because I'm opposed to Mrs. M's daycare. Any further comment from council? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
No.
Mayor Calabrese,
No.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I get a motion for number 9D.
I make a motion to approve sales agreement with Narinda Singh and Carr Family Trust for 12245 Frankstown Road.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Any comment from council? Would you like to expand on that, manager?
By approving this motion, council would be basically agreeing to the sales agreement that we were forwarded by the prospective buyer. After the first buyer fell through, for lack of a better word, we re-advertised the property and we received one bid for the property in the amount of $175,000. So this is accepting that proposal and signing the sales agreement.
Any comment from council? So my understanding was we were going to approve the dollar amount. Are you saying that we cannot alter any terms of the agreement if we go through and we decide we want to add any restrictions or make any changes?
I would defer to the solicitor with that. With the hand money that was given to us with the bid was also the sales agreement. So if we were to change, and again, I want to defer to Craig, but I think if we were to change the proposal in any way, that would be a counter offer. I think at that point, I think that would be a rejection and a new offer.
It would be a counter offer, and my concern is that the way the code is written, you can only award contracts under sealed bids or by auction. If you're going to change what the bid spec was, you may be required to rebid. Yeah.
I'm thinking this is the most surreal night of my life.
So it's for the, I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
No, I thought you froze there for a minute.
Did you want to say something? Did you want to say something, Councilman Petrucci?
No, I was understanding that it was a sealed bid. It was in a timely manner. As we advertised it, it went out for a bid. It came back at a certain time. We opened a sealed bid, and that was what the contract is. Once we cannot void that out without starting all over again. Is that your understanding, Solicitor Craig Alexander?
I think that's what I just stated. I mean, we did make a minor modification the last time around to where they agreed not to sell it to a charter school.
That is correct.
No material modification.
We did.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. You know, in executive session, when you discuss real estate issues, and we talked about, we were talking about the specific dollar amount. We also discussed terms. But you're saying that we're not just, we cannot modify, or let's say we approve of this evening, and then we decide that perhaps there should be a modification. Do we have to come back here and could we ratify it at a later meeting if the terms are agreed by the buyer?
But what sort of terms or modifications are we talking about? If you have something that's not really a change to the contract, then I'm sure that they might entertain it, but this has been bid. My concern is that somebody else could have said, well, I might have wanted to bid on that then. And now you're right back doing the same thing all over again.
Okay, good enough. I understand.
We ought to probably go and talk about it in executive session again. Real estate, as you know, is an executive session topic, so I know exactly what it is we're talking about. We have a bid. We have it on the agenda. What changes are we looking for right now?
That was simply a question. I don't have any changes. I'm asking a question. And I understand.
If there are non-material changes that you guys wish to talk to the people after we award the contract and they're willing to do it, that's one thing. But to mandate a change, I don't think that you can do it. It's a sealed bid. They made their offer. Anything else would be a counter offer.
Any further? I'm sorry.
I think that they can make consensual changes, and that's what the prior buyer did when we asked them to include something with a charter school. They agreed to that.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. Do we then have to come back and ratify?
I think you can pull the board if you want to and ratify it at the next meeting if you have to. We did that when we approved the bid. We approved it subject to asking them if they would agree to put a contingency in there about a charter school, and they agreed to that.
Okay, very good. Any further comment from council? Roll call.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I get a motion for number 9E.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve change order for state pipe service in the amount of $20,000, $250 for the Thompson Run heaving, cleaning, and television contract.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Any comment from council?
I have a question. Was this change order the one that was discussed at a previous, I think it was the last face-to-face council meeting we had, where they explained that they had encountered something unexpected when they started to dig? Is this the one?
I think you might be talking about McKinley Center, Councilman.
Okay, so this is not the one.
No, this is a different change order. And I would ask that Mr. Minsterman correct me if I'm wrong on any of the details about it, but when the contractor began the project, we determined that there was a section of pipe that needed cleaning that was not called for in the contract. And so in order to do that, we have to amend the contract. Is that correct, Rick?
Yes, I can give you a little more detail if that's necessary.
Yes, I would like you to do that,
I would-
please.
Okay, I like detail. So the way it worked was we had 6 segments to clean along Thompson Run, which is a sewer line under Thompson Run stream. So it's under about 2.5 foot of water, and it's under about 2 feet of sediment. So each of the manholes has to have a dam constructed around it and then pumped out and the sediment removed just to open the lid to access the sanitary sewer line. So you can see it's a very difficult operation just to, number one, find the manhole and then build a dam and access it. So on the first segment, which was segment 5 to 6, that's what we were preparing to clean. So they opened manhole number 6 and number 5, as I explained. And when they put the camera in to evaluate the condition, how much sediment was in segment 5 to 6, we noticed that segment 6 to 7, which was upstream of the pipe that we were in, had about a 30% blockage of sediment and debris. Now, this is a 24-inch sanitary sewer line. It carries a lot of sanitary sewage. And I'll let you know that, a year and a half ago, we had to institute an emergency cleaning of this very line because the line plugged with sediment and sewage spilled into Thompson Run, which ultimately goes to Turtle Creek. So I felt that we should not take the risk of allowing that 30% of sediment in the sewer to remain. And fortunately, we were able to have the contractor agree to honor his current cleaning cost per foot, which we felt was very good, to clean segment 6 and 7. So they were able to do that from manhole number 6 without having to access manhole 7. That's why they honored the price. And it was a good price per foot for cleaning. Now that segment was 500 feet long, so that was a substantial segment. There was a tremendous amount of sediment removed. So that work was completed. As we moved down from segment 5 to 6, 4 to 5, 3 to 4, 2 to 3, all those segments were in need of cleaning. And the last segment, 1 to 2, was also included in the contract. But when we got there, it was only a small amount of debris that had accumulated in the pipe. So I recommended that we did not clean that pipe, that there was insignificant amount of debris to spend the money, and we could use that as a savings against the additional segment. Unfortunately, that segment was only 85 feet long, and the one we added was 500 feet. So we felt that it was the right thing to do, and it did increase the overall cost, as I described, additional $20,000 on a $370,000 contract. So very minor percentage. We felt this was a win, that they were able to clean this additional segment. One thing now, this is a segment that is scheduled to be, if agreed to, or it's being proposed to be taken over by Alcosan. This line has cost the municipality hundreds of thousands of dollars to maintain, to keep the sediment out of these pipes. Now, we bolted down the lids. We installed bolts and bolted the lids down, because what's happening is these lids become jarred loose, and then the sediment pours in. And we don't know it's happening until the line plugs, backs up, and then sewage comes out. So this is a very difficult line to maintain, to even find. Once we pulled the dams out, within a couple days, the manholes were gone. They were buried again with sediment, and luckily we do have GPS points, so we know exactly where they are for the future. But hope we never have to access them again, because it's a very expensive undertaking. And now with the line cleaned, we can show that to Alcosan if indeed there's a decision made to utilize the regionalization offer from them to have them acquire the operation and maintenance of this difficult sewer line. So that's a long story, but anyway, it does explain the change order and a little bit more than you bargained for.
Good, thank you. Very good explanation.
I have a further question, Mr. Ministerman. So there wasn't a GPS tracker on this prior to finding a problem. There's now okay, so that's why we didn't find it in the first place.
Well, even if we knew where the sewer lines were from a GPS perspective, you still can't see them from the surface. So if you're walking down the stream, you don't see sewer lines, you just see gravel.
Okay, so why wasn't the problem found? I understood all of your explanation, but why wasn't the problem found in the first place?
Well, the lines are televised every 5 years. So the last time the line was televised was, let's say, 4 years ago. It wasn't scheduled to be televised, but then it backed up because of a clog. And then we had to utilize the emergency repair contract to go in and release the clog and clean the sections from 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 upstream. So once we saw how bad those were, and the pipe was flowing again, we actually let a planned contract to clean 6 through 1, because we knew that even though we couldn't get a camera in, we knew that there was going to be problems with those sewer lines. So we stepped up instituted this contract to clean the lines that needed to be cleaned. And this time it wasn't an emergency, so it's much more cost effective as it relates to the, cost per foot to clean. So it was a planned contract. It was budgeted for this year. But once again, if you can imagine that the sewer, all the manholes are buried under about 1.5 feet of sediment and about 2.5 feet of water. So it's just, you don't see it. All you see is a nice stream flowing down the channel. And so it's unusual. Usually manholes are raised up into the gravel and even extend out of the water. But for some reason, these were not. These were flush with the ground.
Okay, and then you said something about in the event that we decide in the future to go with the revitalization, is this a requirement that Elkasan has, that it needs to be done prior to them taking it or us joining into this revitalization?
They would require that the line be sufficiently cleaned, and specifically why is because Elkasan knew of this condition because they knew of the backup. So once they saw that the pipe was plugged, they already said that before we take that, the line's going to need to be cleaned. So at least we give them a line that's in good condition, and then they can accept it. But this is going to happen again. These lids, because there's always one more manhole upstream that's going to be dislodged, and then debris is going to enter in. It may not be for a few years, but this, like I said, is your most difficult line to maintain and operate in the municipality.
Okay, thank you so much for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any further comment from council? Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Before we move on to the next item, as a matter of procedure, Solicitor, do we need to formally note for the record that we had an executive session?
Yes. Want me to do that?
Yes,
We had-
please.
Had an executive session on Friday at 3:30 to discuss real estate issues, collective bargaining issues, and personnel matters.
Thank you, Solicitor.
You're quite welcome.
Any other consideration?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
just have a couple things I wanted to go over real quick. Last week, our manager, Scott Andrachek, put together a plan for hiring part-time inspectors to conduct occupancy inspections for both residential and commercial properties to free up code enforcement officers to focus on other code enforcement issues such as complaint investigation and enforcement of construction permits and inspections. I think we should seriously take this plan that he has under consideration. Right now, I believe is the time, these are part-time, by the way, let me tell everybody, these are part-time. They're only working 3 days a week, but they're going to free up the backlog of occupancy permits so that the other 5 occupancy or other 5 code enforcement employees will get out and take care of the residential and some of the commercial problems that we're having around. Listen, folks, I took a ride with the manager the other day. Code enforcement's doing their job. They're not slacking, believe me. What's happening is the courts are closed. They're issuing the citations for the violations, but because the courts are closed, there's nothing getting done right now. This COVID has slowed everybody up. Okay, and this is our. They have a backlog from March of occupancy permits. They are working on them diligently, and they will get to them. So hopefully we can consider this plan. I think it's a good plan. I think it'll help our community tremendously, and let's just hope that we can, the court system gets freed up and we can start to get some of the violators that John McCafferty and his crew has cited, and hopefully we can get some of these places cleaned up. The second thing I wanted to just touch base on you, we did something tonight, and we gave a lease to the multipurpose center up in Lincoln Park area. We gave it to Mrs. M's. I believe we have a proposal from another company for the other building that we also own over at 801 7th Street in Verona. This gentleman has made us a decent lease agreement and also would like to purchase the building. Now, he claims that he would keep it the same way it was. That would be something that we would have to investigate. And I believe we'd have to do an RFP probably for this building also. I think we should go forward and see about doing the RFP for this building and see what the intentions are of some of the other groups around if they would like to be involved, just like we did with the multipurpose center. And that is all I have to comment on right now.
Councilman.
Yes.
Patricia,
Yes.
You stated that the courts were closed, so they are not doing any type of teleconferencing for the hearings?
These are citations, non-traffic citations that you have to, first, you have to give them to the magistrate's office. They have to docket them. Then they set them up for a court hearing. The problem with that is Magisterial District Justice DeLuca's office has been closed because there was a COVID outbreak, I believe, in his office. So he's shut down right now.
So that's just for 2 weeks, 14 days.
Right. But they are backlogged as it is.
Just to add a few things to that, the courts also, they were closed before they opened, and now they're closed temporarily. But the first item that John had mentioned is that our fire marshal and I had a discussion about a way in which could we free up the code office to focus more on blight, because a lot of our time is spent on the very important task of occupancy inspections. That comprises a lot of what our code officers do. And so the idea is that really twofold. One is we may want to look at what we charge for the occupancy inspection compared to our neighbors. We actually may be a little low. And then it's at the same time, take a look at, would there be a way if we had that additional revenue and funding, if you had some part-time staff that just did occupancy. So I think it's something we'll probably have to talk about in our budget process for next year. But it is an idea. I know there's right now there's a big emphasis, as there always is, on addressing blight, being more aggressive. And I think to do that, we may have to look at a way in which we can staff that task in a way that gives them a little more time to focus on those things. So it's really an idea more than anything at this point, but I think as we go into next year's budget, it's something maybe we would take a closer look at.
Scott, I have a question. What type of qualifications are you talking about for these 3 additional people you're putting on? And they wouldn't be code enforced.
No, I don't have the Chuck actually did a pretty good he actually did a pretty good analysis. I don't have it in front of me. It was about a 2 or 3 page analysis. I think that those individuals should we do it, because it's not definite that this would happen. It would have to fit into our budget next year. These would be part-time employees that would work no more than 30 hours. And I think that they would have to have some qualification or certification in order to perform occupancy inspections. As to what that is, I can't on the spot tell you, but I know all of our code officers that perform that function, they've passed, I think, BCO. I think they're all building code officials, or the BCO test. So there would be some qualification to doing it.
May I add a comment?
Yes, Councilman Getzey.
I think this is a very important issue because, in my opinion, code needs to be understood better than it does. I believe they're understaffed, and I don't think anybody understands the administrative workload that code has to do other than inspect properties. It's a very time-consuming job. You might spend a day looking for two property owners. I think we have to take this analysis to see what can be done, especially now when pandemic might cause people to lose homes. Homes might be vacated. We need the people to do that. And I see where this is going, but I hope it goes deeper than we've discussed to understand what they're doing, how they're doing it, and what the repercussions are for the community. Thank you.
I agree, Jim.
I think you make good points, Councilman Getzey. I think very good points. Any further items for consideration? Any reports from council?
Are you asking for our comments here?
I am.
Okay. I'll be as brief as I can. I got interested in the Right to Know Act from the state as it pertains to people looking for information about their municipalities. And I talked with Scott extensively a few days ago about his system. But I would like to track all the complaints that come in to see from how they're processed to the conclusion, to ensure that people in the communities are getting the answers that they need for some of the problems they have. And my question is, was this system that Mr. Andrzejczyk instituted, was this approved and looked at it by council, or is this like a unilateral process?
I'm not, when you say system, Councilman, I'm wondering what you mean by that. We have since 2008, at least, an adopted right to know policy. When you say system, really what that system is exactly the thing that you're requesting. It's a system that I use as the right to know officer to track every request that comes in. So these aren't really complaints. I know you said that you want to track all the complaints. They're really not complaints. Really, we get a request for information or a document. And so when we get that, it's logged into a spreadsheet, and all of the most important parts of that request are recorded in that system. And then that's going to tell us the date we received it. We're going to then be able to determine when we have to register a response. We could also, in that system, keep notes about how the search is going if we're doing a document search. So the system is to follow the Right to Know Act. That is the system. I happen to use a spreadsheet that I make, that I have here, that helps me track it, because you really never know what kind of volume of requests you're going to get. So I'm hoping that answers the question. We don't have a proprietary computer program to do that for us. That's me doing it. When you say system, that's me. I'm essentially, the system is the right to know officer, and I have to answer all of those requests personally, and then I have to go to staff to conduct document searches when it's appropriate. But
Okay.
every request we get is viewed in light of right to know. And as you know, every document that we have, the presumption is that it's an open record. I mean, the presumption is that every document in this office is an open record, except when it's excluded. And the right to know law has some very narrow areas that narrow categories that exclude certain things, but most things are open.
The second part of my question was this system approved by council at any time?
The council has an adopted right to know policy.
Yes, but was it approved? Was this system approved by council?
It would never be. It would. I think. I don't know that it would need to be, Jim. I've been designated as the right to know officer, and so how I track those requests as they come in would, to some extent, be my prerogative as the manager, and also as the right to know officer. That's why you appointed me as the right to know officer.
Well, the thing is, people can view these requests differently, and I'm concerned that if only one person is reviewing these concerns, that there may be some bias there. I don't know. But what I would like to do is actually have a group review, that every right to know request that came in was presented to council as an informational statement, tracked as to what your decision was, and see if there's agreement that the decision is right. I don't feel it should be a unilateral system. I mean, no matter who's running it, no accusations against you, but I think a unilateral system needs to be opened up for more scrutiny and more input.
If I could just speak to that, it's been my practice, at least since I've been here, to share with council two things. Whenever we receive a request and respond to it, council always sees the response that was given along with the original request. So if I get an information request, if I get a right to know request, I'm going to process that. I'm going to process that because that's my function as the right to know officer, to process it. After it's processed and there's a response to it, whether it's a denial, whether it's an extension, I typically share that with the mayor and council. So you already have that. I would strongly caution against having right to know requests go directly to council or to a committee of persons. I think that part of the responsibility of the right to know officer is to remain very neutral in that regard and to follow the act. And I think that I could imagine or envision certain situations where there may be a right to know request or an information request that would go to a committee of persons or a council person, perhaps whom the request pertains to, that may try to influence that process. So I would say it'd be very unusual to have a committee review right to know requests, Councilman.
Well, I'm not asking for a
I'd like
committee
to
review. I'm asking for just information to the council. And
Yeah.
would you have any objection to my proposal that I can see these as they come in, see the process and see what the results are? Do you have any objection to that, my following that through?
You're asking me, Councilman?
Yes.
No, I have none. And as a matter of fact, when you were here the other day, I showed you the entire database and log of all the requests that we have done. I don't know how that was done in the past, but since I've been here, every request that comes in gets tracked, it gets logged, and whether it gets denied or whether it gets extended or whether it gets met, all that's recorded in a database. It simply makes it easier to work with because you could have multiple requests at one time. So all that is available. As a matter of fact, someone could request the entire log of all requests that we've disposed of. That would be an open record too. So I always have been sharing with council the requests and the response that comes from this office. That's been the practice.
I would like to understand the system better. So I don't see that there should be any objection to me wanting to know how the system works, what the results are. And if my fellow council persons would like to comment on that, fine, but that's my intent. And thanks for your information, but I would just like to understand it better.
And I would welcome you to come to this office at any time. I'd be more than happy to show you how we do it. I also would tell you that Office of Open Records, from time to time, actually all the time, they always have some informational webinars. I'm sure if you go to openrecords.pa.us, I think is the website, there's a number of resources there about right to know and how it works. All of those things are free. But at any time, I would be more than welcome to show you how it is we track the requests as they come in.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrejczyk. Thank you.
Can I make one more comment, closing comment? I'm concerned that the system is too constrictive in that it's been put together and it may include some of the information that the applicant submits.
Thank you, Councilman.
I have a couple other quick. I'd like to know from council if adding any stipulations or amendments to an ordinance can be done without it being publicly made known and council vote on it.
No.
No?
No. If you pass something by an ordinance, you have to change it by an ordinance, and an ordinance is required to be advertised and voted upon in a public meeting.
Okay, that answers my question. I mentioned earlier, I think we need the creation and adoption by council of a comprehensive plan as required by the Home Rule Charter. I'm just throwing that out. I'll move on. I'd like to know the identification, goals, and plans is set by mayor and council for 2020 and 2021. We deal with a lot of issues. I'd like to know what the plan is to deal with housing and all the other issues we're going to be faced with. What is the plan? And as broad as it could be, but we have to know what we're going up against next year. No more comments on that. I guess that'll be it for this time, and next month I'll have some more. I'm done. Next.
Thank you, Councilman Getzey. Any other council members?
Mayor Calabrese, I have a couple things I'd like to report. I'd just like to bring to Scott's attention that we have a lot of overgrown shrubs that are overgrowing the guardrails, and it's becoming a traffic safety issue. Paquita Road and Lincoln Road, Grove Road, those roads really need to be looked at because they are becoming hazardous. And not only that, it's just taking away from our community being looking beautiful. Our slogan is keep Penn Hills beautiful, and that's just making it look ugly. So if we can take a look at those areas for those two reasons, I greatly appreciate it. Also, I just want to bring to the attention of everyone who still may be on with us, streetlights. If you see any streetlights out, please report those streetlights that are out. We are paying that bill, and we like to keep our municipality bright, and we should know what lights are out so that those bulbs can be replaced. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other reports? I would like to say, as you mentioned with Deputy Mayor, our surrounding, I just would like to reiterate, and after we voted tonight on the Shade Tree Commission, once again, I'm so very proud that that Penn Hills has been voted Tree City. My hat is off to Kathy Rayborn and to the entire commission. It's so exciting when we look at each of these little pieces that are falling into the puzzle that are moving us forward in such a positive direction. All these things, as we talked about, as Councilman Petrucci talked about code enforcement, our Tree City designation, we talk about the improvements to the infrastructure, the improvements to the sewer system. These are the things that are really moving Penn Hills forward. As you all know or may know, that we had a grant that we are in a $3 million grant for road paving. In addition to that grant that we already have, through the efforts of Representative Tony DeLuca and Senator Jay Costa, Penn Hills was awarded another grant over $2 million. This is a huge reflection on our municipality. What happened is that clearly Harrisburg knows that we are capable of handling that sort of project. It's such a good reflection of our ability to handle a project. Most municipalities don't get this opportunity. So I think sometimes we take these things for granted in Penn Hills, but I would like to say that I'm so proud that we have been recognized, and I'm so proud that those funds will be coming in. And what will happen is, as those funds come in, it will not only free up our budget indirectly, it will be making our roads, the improvements on our roads that will really benefit us for years to come. And those are the sorts of things I think that new residents will look at as well. Thank you so very much. Anything further from anyone?
Yes, I have one thing. We're talking about grants that are great for Penn Hills. We got a COPS grant. We were one out of, I forget if Howard's on, maybe he can elaborate. One out of so many communities that got this particular COPS grant. And we can hire, I guess, a couple more police officers. Is that what I understand, Scott?
No, we were not awarded a COPS grant, Councilman.
We weren't?
No, we were not.
I thought it was we were.
No, we were not. We were not.
Okay. Maybe I made a mistake then. Thank you.
We applied and we were hopeful, but as we know very well in the world of grants, sometimes you get the elevator and sometimes you get the shaft. And I think on that latter one, the COPS grants, it seemed like they were funding much smaller departments in this round. Howard and I were somewhat disappointed by that, but we're going to continue to apply. That's what you have to do. You have to be diligent. So you might not always get funded the first time, but if you keep at it, we'll eventually find success, I think.
Okay, maybe I read it wrong then. Sorry.
Councilman, you'll find it in your packet. I think like McKeesport was one of them. So areas like that were granted that that reward.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And of course, we will continue to move in that direction. I just think we have a lot of really positive things that are happening. I'm so pleased with the progress we're making. May I get a motion for adjournment?
I'll motion.
Agree?
May I get a second?
A second.
We are adjourned. Have a very good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Have a great week, Penn Hills. Be safe, sanitize, mask.
Thank you.
See y'all.
Good night.